Ooh, that dirt's not going to help him as we got Espez, who has been saving fuel. Does he have enough to finish this lap going all out? Taking a look down the inside as he gets covered up. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide into the hairpin.
3 wide. Hawkin makes it stick on the right side. Better run for Williams on the left. Espez chooses the left as well. Hawkin now stuck side by side as Espez goes for a 3 wide move. Heading towards Cunningham. Espez buoys his way back up to the point. Williams with the preferred line. Hawkin makes it 3 wide again. Hawkin and Williams late break. Side by side still.
Tolinen's got one of the best runs we've seen from him yet, and this could be the overtake he's been looking for. He pulls up on him, staying to the inside. Partsinen stays down low as they come towards the braking into 1 and 2. A little bit of a back off from Tolinen, even though he's good on the binders. Oh, but he shakes him off the racing line and pulls the over-under, and he gets past Partsinen.
Gonna poke his nose to the inside, going down into turn 10. That sweeping right-hander. Oh, contact! Newhook gets the worst of it.
He tries to woe it up. Can he? He does keep it on course, amazingly. I thought he was going to have to cut the chicane, but now look at all of them swamping side to side as there's a little bit of a brush into the right front fender of Newhook's car. Now a little bit of banging between himself and Cowgill, trying to hold on to it. They are getting rough out there. We still have 28 minutes to go.
Joe, that was almost 4 wide coming down into turn 1. I don't know if I've ever seen that much aggression here out of these MX-5s.
Under braking, who is the bravest here? More lap traffic in front of him. It looks like Reynolds goes a little bit deeper, but is it too deep? No, he gets ahead. Thomas O'Leary cannot hold him back. Blake Reynolds is back up to the point, fighting back now. It's going to come down through the stadium section, and the inside with Thomas O'Leary, the shorter line, and a spin from Blake Reynolds gives it up. Get one more good shot here, but passing into Rent. I don't know about that. Side by side in the last corners will be sketchy. Lap traffic staying out of the way. Hammer defends to the inside. Burns around the long way. And he's going to have to take to the runoff because there's a little bit of nudge between them. Comes back to the racetrack, but he's behind as Hammer exits the final corner. Hammer is going to take the win here at Austria.
The final race of the season always brings tension, no matter the series. When Sebastian Vettel won the 2010 Formula 1 World Championship in glorious style, it was done through the thinnest of margins. While we won't necessarily get that today, we have seen how close it's been between Florence Arabian and Simon Mayer throughout the season. Mayer, however, has provisionally clinched the title, but can always put the proverbial feather in the cap by clinching the win here today at Laguna Seca, as we fly to California to watch the final round of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Sit back, relax, and stick your screens to the Global SimRacing Channel and get ready for a cracking final race with us. Hi, I'm Robert O'Brien. With me in the booth is Ossian Bukaka. Behind the scenes, our director Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Laguna Seca needs no introduction, but we'll do our best to live up to the fearsome reputation of particularly the corkscrew, and through our track guide, we'll talk you through why this track is so loved.
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey Historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
Well, Ocean, around here, it's there's a few corners connecting everything else to the corkscrew. It is Laguna Seca after all. Why don't you take us through it, and any points that you have, let us know.
Yeah, everyone always talks about the corkscrew, Rob, when they talk about Laguna Seca. But to me, it's turn 6, the corner before the corkscrew, that is the most important one. Because it's just uphill left-hander, it's blind, you can't cut it at all because the inside curb is going to kill you. If you run wide, you're going to end up on the sand trap, that's going to kill you. You're going to die of thirst before you make it out of that desert. So there's a lot of corners that are difficult. Then you come to the rainy curve and you come to the downhill section. I find the flow really nice here. And it should be a really challenging and a really entertaining racetrack with these cars. Underpowered as they may be, they shall provide some good racing.
Yeah, you don't want to be Kimi Räikkönen with his engineer going, no, Kimi, no, you will not have the drink. But hopefully they'll have a drink hooked up for them in the Formula V's this time by. But before we go any further, we'd like to talk to you about the sponsor for today's broadcast, 42 Stitches. 42 Stitches offers custom embroidery and full color heat transfer. Put your logos on shirts, hats, jackets, and anything else you can imagine to promote your business or organization. They've also just recently expanded their capabilities in a vinyl graphic, so get your company logo on your vehicles, create signage, and hand out stickers to potential customers by creating brand awareness. Check them out at 42stitches.com and let them put together a package especially for you today. And the championship, as we said before in the intro, we do have our crowned boy up on the top there on the terms of Simon Mayer, who has, by mathematics alone, won the championship simply because he took part in last week's event, and that's all he needed to do. Just get some points, get the number of drop weeks ahead of Florence Arabian, and off he went to the races. And mathematically speaking, it is now possible for Florence Arabian to win in second place, or 826 points. Niels Sankowski could still clinch third position overall, even though he had a little bit of a trouble early on in the season. He has actually gotten the car sort of back together again, got himself back and focused. Marco Horvath is in a battle with Dudu Castro to settle fourth and fifth. If we have anything else to go by, it is the S2s. Ossian, how are they looking?
Well, you got Jeremy Lewis in the lead, just 7 points ahead of Johan Buitenga, so that's going to be still a championship battle there. Then you got Jim Brewster rounding out the podium positions. Again, only 4 points ahead of Ian Gibson, and then you got Frederik Riesdig rounding out the top 5. So some good seasons, some excellent seasons, and certainly for Jeremy Lewis and Johan Buitenga, still a good battle.
It's cracking for Jeremy Lewis. He just needs to win today. That's all he needs to do, or be ahead of the guy in second place as Johan Buitenga, who sort of woke up and took to the streets and put his stamp out on things. We do have the S3s for the Masters in today's race as well. As always, Antonio Ruiz just putting on a big smile on everybody's faces. Well, I may be biased here, but he puts a smile on my face just seeing him going around there. And he is in the session today, so he will be, I think he will be crowned Masters race winner today and the Masters champion today if he finishes ahead of Tom Gradwell, who's also in session. Kenneth Batley is going to be comfortably in third. Leroy Coppage and Jeff Cantor can still battle it out, I do think, based on the math, but I need to be doubly sure about it. And I think I'm just going out to the end of qualifying, but the session details are the most important. They haven't changed at all, Ossian. What do they shape up today, though?
Yeah, they haven't changed. It's still a 40-minute race. You still got unlimited fuel, so you have to hit that pit lane. Don't hit the pit lane entry. Don't do a David Coulthard. Just hit the pit lane. Go get some more fuel, and then back out you go. Open setups as well, so you can adjust the cars to your liking. Of course, there's not too much to adjust, but you can adjust the handling a little bit. Each and every one of these drivers having their own preference. And as you can see on the top, round number 12, it is the final week here on iRacing, final week of the season and final week for this series as well. And I think it's gonna be a cracker, Rob.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, I'm shaping this up to be one of the sort of very close battles. It'll still be everybody sort of getting their teeth and their elbows out trying to get as many places as possible, and having the crown of winning here would be a feather in the cap, as I said, for Simon Mayer. However, Forens Arabian is the head of qualifying right now as he comes in first with a 1:47.76 to his name, so he is actually one of the fastest cars out there now. Since Simon Mayer, his sort of companion in the rivalry of the first championship, or the pros, is in fourth, minus 0.3 of a second back with a 1:41 flat, essentially. And then we get into the weeds of Kenneth Batley, who's leading the Masters, and I think Elodie, he's a new name coming around these parts. And Antonio Ruiz, I'm looking towards the car at number 914. He's a few tenths back from Batley as we come to the end of the qualifying, so anybody who's done their lap now needs to finish it, or who's just crossing the line needs to also put in a great lap. For the cars that are going around now, is it going to be difficult for temperature, or are they going to have to struggle with fuel? Is it tires or the fuel tank that's going to be the big key difference here today?
I think it's going to be neither, really. Tires more so than the fuel tank, because you can save fuel relatively easily here, especially on the downhill sector. You can just lift off, coast early, get your car nice and early turned in. But the problem with coasting with these cars, of course, is because all the weight is on the rear. That's going to snap the rear end loose real easily. So you have to be careful about that. But it's temps are nice and cold-ish going by California standards. It's 20 degrees Celsius here in terms of air temp and 22 in terms of track temp. So it's about 35 degrees Celsius warmer than it is outside my window. But yeah, tires, definitely tires.
20 degrees or 22 degrees Celsius for the metric fans, and then for the imperial fans, 67 Fahrenheit and 71 Fahrenheit respectively for air and track temperatures. And of course, with very little wind out there, it doesn't really affect these kinds of cars. There's no air on them. You cannot unfortunately, really sort of get a big old affection for the wind until you get about 20 or 25 kilometers an hour for these kinds of cars. It's just not that kind of a big deal. And we just see as the end of qualifying comes up, they have 50 seconds to cross the line and finish their lap. The main point of reference is that Simon Mayer, he's not improved his time, still at a 1:41 flat, and this is the car number 42, I think, coming around, unless it is not the 1:42, it's 1:43. Brian Belansky, and he'll be part of the pros. Across the line with 1:55, does not improve his time, and actually doesn't set a new one, so he will be stuck, unfortunately, having not set a time. We do have our resident driver in the booth, actually, Michael Johnson. He's actually driven these things. How would it be out there, Michael?
Let's just say a handful is a good way to start. They are interestingly rear-weighted. The braking is challenging with them, especially when you're trying to trail brake. And when you have these higher temperatures, the tires just don't want to stick as well. So it's going to be a bit of a handful, I think, for these guys. However, we've got some people out here like Forens Arabian and some of the other guys who are top of the chart, and they're just really good drivers. So it'll be interesting to watch how they do compared to some of the other guys, maybe some of the newer guys who are showing up. I mean, you've got people like Neil Sankowski, who's really good. Paulo Gori knows what he's doing out there. Same with, like I said, Forens Arabian. Fantastic drivers. They really will be able to handle the car. They've got a lot of practice with this car, but It can be just as unpredictable as anything when you're in this one.
And the track temperature not really being that high, it's only 22 degrees Celsius, which for Laguna Seca is practically a snowstorm in terms of temperatures. It's quite cold out there. Does it bode well? Does it bode well or does it bode badly for these tires? Because I mean, they're not the ones that take in a lot of temperature. They don't go very fast and they don't push the tire really that hard, do they?
There's not a lot of weight on the tire, but it's also a very narrow tire. If you really get a good look at the car from just how wide those tires are, there's not a lot of meat on them. So not that it needs a lot, you want less so you have less rolling resistance because you're dealing with 53 horsepower or whatever it is. The biggest issue with this track, at least in real life, and I think they've done a pretty decent job in the simulation of it too, is the amount of sand that gets out there. And that sand is insanely abrasive because one, you get the abrasion of the sand that also slides the car, and then that sliding effect will also do a good number of wearing on these tires.
Acts like a bit like sandpaper then, would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely like sandpaper for sure.
I mean, the iRacing doesn't do flat spots, but if it did, oh dear, lots of drivers would be it'd be a very difficult day out there for them if it did. The one thing that I did want to sort of bring up as well is with the sort of thinner tires for these cars, is that sort of a game changer? If, let's say, for instance, around the corkscrew, you can see here just on the entry and exit, there's a lot of sand kicked up onto the track itself. Do you sort of continue to follow the line and hope that it clears up, or is it sort of there we go, nice camera shot there? But is is it going to be difficult for them to sort of a change from that line, or do they sort of just have to wing it and hope for the best?
So ideally the sand works like puddles in the rain. If you're driving in the rain, you want to hit the puddle if you're able, because you want the course to be clear. So the idea is, if it's not going to upset your car, go ahead and drive through it and clear that away. If it's going to upset the car, don't do it, and everyone will drive around it. But really the best thing you can do is help clear it. So I think they're going to try to drive through it, or in the case we just saw, drag some more sand back out on the track.
That was Simon Mayer, unfortunately, having a bit of a mistake through the corkscrew, but got it back up and going again. This pit stop, this pit exit though, actually, and this pit entry is actually quite harsh, especially for GT cars. I wouldn't have wanted to race it back when ALMS was doing time around here, with the big Corvette C6Rs and the old or Porsche 911 R2s going around here. I would have not liked to go into pits, but exit actually is still important as well. You come essentially out into the racing line, essentially you sort of ejected out into it. Do you sort of have to gun it out of the exit?
Well, first you have to slow down to make that hook. I mean, coming around that hairpin, you are thrown fairly quickly. Now, the traffic that's gone around the turn 2 there can see you and can react to you. You really don't have much of a sight on them because of the speed they've come around. They've got a more of a slingshot effect coming through turn 2 there. So it is challenging, but they should be able to work around you. One, they're going faster. Two, they can already see you. So I think for a large part, it is challenging, but it's really more challenging to not hit the dirt, especially in the wider cars. Now, these cars, not so wide. You can get through that fairly easily. But like you were saying, the GT3 cars, the LMP cars, LMP2s, whoa, that is definitely a challenge in the sim or real life.
Oh, yeah. As I said, I wouldn't like to be the person who wanted to drive them around here, but it's neither here nor there, because right now we're looking at these and we're coming up to the end of warm-up, and as we like to say, it is now time for the grid. And for the grid itself, we do have one particular name up on the top. It is going to be Forens Arabian leading the grid today, ahead of Elia Lodi in second, Neil Sankowski in third, with Simon Mayer to his right-hand side. Kenneth Batley in fifth, Badagori in sixth, Caleb Petrie in seventh, Antonio Ruiz in eighth, Thor Tulla in ninth, and then 10th is Jim Brewster.
11th place, we're going to have Rocco Horvath, followed by Nick Sigley. Jim Brewster, I have Jim Brewster here. Surprise. And followed by Daniel Capps, Jim McGill, Dudu Castro, followed shortly thereafter by Andrew Benna, Jeremy Lewis, Johan Butenga, and Flavio Andalo.
And then from there, it is Mikhail Fortuny, Chris Montgomery, Marcus King, Scott Rayleigh, Leroy Coppage, Jesus Rodriguez, Gary Vobolt, Bruno Conti, Marco Trespidi, Evandro Dantas, Tom Gradwell, Jeff Cantor, David Davidson, Carl Burke, Simon Ball, and finally rounding out is Brian Belansky of 36 cars. And they do have to grid. And oh dearie me, I'm not going to be the one that's going to be having a moment, because they're doing a full pace lap, so they're not going to have to start on the grid and then have a heart-to-mouth moment where they all have to get to the first corner. It's only going to be in about 2 to 3 minutes time when that happens.
Well, the biggest issue is going to be anybody who's in about P6 on back, because they're going to be stuck in turn 11. They're going to be stuck right there, right at that apex when that green light goes, when the green flag drops, and they're mid-corner. And they've got people trying to catch up to the pack who have just come around 10, and I think we're going to see some interesting stuff. Now, I've said before, this group is very, very good. They're very observant of what's going on around them. I have a greater expectation they will make it safely through this than I do in, say, an open session in iRacing. But it is challenging, and I can tell you in real life situations, it has been less than good.
By the way, the cameras did see, they picked up one thing. 2 drivers are starting from the pits. They've chosen not to grid, and that was Thor Tulla and Leroy Coppage, have both elected to not participate in the warm-up procedure and start from the pits directly, which I think will actually be a viable option to see if they can avoid any turn 1 mishaps with 36 cars. So there's 34 on the actual sign-up sheet. Jeff Cantor and Daniel Capps have both not taken to the grid, and there's 32 cars now on track as they come around the final corner. It is going to be a bit of a struggle for them. So, as I said, Thortella and Leroy Coppage both start from the pits. The rest of these guys, the rest of the 32 drivers on your screens, they have chosen to brave the test of Andretti hairpin, as that is turn 1 for these guys, and you can see the markers there. They'll probably have to ignore all of them but the 100-meter marker as they come in around the final corner. That is going to be Florence Arabian on the inside, holding up the line and then launching himself very quickly, basically cork bottling the rest of the field, and then lets loose very quickly as the rest of the field tries to catch up to him. Side-by-side action all the way down from about 6 onwards, and that's 3 wide there in the middle of the pack. Florence Arabian getting very, very, very good luck coming into the first turn, and around they go around Andretti, keeping it nice and tidy. There's actually very clean, everybody around with no problems.
Yeah, very nicely done through the Andretti hairpin there. It's difficult coming down there. Everybody really wants, we've got to spin it. We've got to spin it.
And we, unfortunately, I think, Michael, the both of us have,
It was a double curse. It was double curse.
Yeah, it was double curse. We both said, it's clean. Then it was.
Yeah, I was just getting back at Joe for cursing me in my race a couple of nights ago. That's what it was.
Poor Kenneth Batley did not have luck on his side, and he actually got a little spin and happened to go around all the way around as Johan Butenga just climbing up the ranks. And we could just see there on your screens, that is a melee for the first position. Sorry, that's going to be another incident. That is actually Johan Butenga off on the turn 6. So very good forward observing from yourself there. Oh, that's another car gone off. Oh, crikey. That's a wheel gone off. That was a wheel that just went into the air. That was going to be Carl Berg, Jesus Rodriguez, Chris Montgomery, Scott Bray, and I think that is Simon Ball as well. All three. Oh, that is Kenneth Batley. Not only did he have that turn 3 issue, he now has one. He's a 3-wheeler. He's a tricycle, except the front wheel is to the left.
This is talent, I got to say. Being able to drive that car all the way through the corkscrew, up the hill, down through the corkscrew, going through 9 and 10. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how the pit entry goes, though, because that's the side that's going to get loaded up the most as he tries to make that left hand in there.
Now, I do want to, unfortunately, put Kenneth Batley in the limelight. I do want to show sort of his mishaps on that. I think that is going to be the one turn or the one lap that he's going to forget. As if we take a look at what happened at the start of that race to him, we'll get an idea of what went on. As we come in here, we have the yellow car just in the middle there of the melee. And unfortunately, it was a self-spin the first time around, so he had nobody to blame but himself. And when he came back around and then went into turn 5, it all went wrong from there. And as you can see, another car going off there, coming around the first hairpin. And then we saw this on the edge of our screens, a melee of sorts, and that was Johan Batanga getting spun around. Now, what happened was, he went back on, held his brakes, went back on, but everything behind him sort of exploded, and that was Kenneth Batley in the yellow car. He coming around, he couldn't slow down. It was turn 6, a fast left-hander, couldn't slow down in time, and he got a massive wallop of another car, and that was the car, I think, the car 203 of Simon Ball. Yes, it was. That is Simon Ball there.
Yep.
And yeah, that is, that's a mighty hit.
Yeah, little bit of extra pain for him on that second hit there. Now, interestingly, these cars at speed can go too wide through that. Oh, there we go. One more shot of it. Oh, losing the wheel too. But these cars can go too wide through that turn. It's not impossible. And at the speed they were going, should be able to. However, that spun car in front,
crikey, if we come back live, sorry to cut across. Forrest Arabian it's all gone wrong for him with a collision between himself and Elia. That's another car gone off. That's Andrew Bonneau going off as well. If we take it back about 40 seconds, you'll see it all heat up for Forrest Arabian coming down into turn 1. And oh dearie me, that was not, I don't think that was his, I think it was just a little bit of wheel tanglement, and then I think everybody sort of was unable to unhook themselves. Yeah, just as you see there. Yeah,
little bit of overestimation of what the car can do under braking, I think, from the newcomer.
That's Elia Lodi. And back on, and that was another car colliding with him, and that was going to be, I think that is, if memory serves, that was that Paolo Godi or Paolo Gori. It was. I do have the name actually. Sorry, let me just double check. We'll get back to it in just a moment. Back to the front though. This is Neil Sankowski. He's actually never led. He's led a lap, but he's not won here. His best result, I think, has been, memory serves, 4th position. So if he can win today, be a big boon for him. But
Simon making a nice move coming up out of the final corner. And another spinner.
Spin. It's spin. It's not spin to win. I don't usually hear that in racing.
Spin it to win. It does not work in racing. No, that's better in Las Vegas, I think.
Exactly. That is the car number 925, and that is not Kenneth Batley. That's going to be the car of Carl Burke, having issue there at the back of the field. Back to the front though. I do actually want to sort of get your opinion on this as well. Once you get interlocked with the wheels on these kinds of cars, is it quite difficult to get unhooked just because of the side-by-side racing nature of these cars?
Well, if you make contact, yes. Now, if you are, let's say it's Simon and Forens going side by side, and they get a little bit overlap. Both of those guys know each other well enough and have enough respect for each other that you won't get, hopefully, a poor result. However, let's say I jump in there and I haven't driven with these guys a lot, it might not end up as well.
Yeah, and even a little tap can send these cars absolutely flying. It's the suspension does its job, but it also has a very hard time when it gets actually hit, sort of staying together. We did see that with Kenneth Batley, and his wheel flew, well, the very wrong wheel flew off, and it turned himself into a tricycle. When will a tricycle come to iRacing? But anyways, back to the front with May.
I really want to see that Morgan. There's that 3-wheel Morgan that I love. I would love to see that in iRacing. Not that it would be a great car on the track. It's just a great car, period. So They're all doing their impression of the Morgan when they get there in that three-wheel state.
The soapbox 2.0. Back at the front, Simon Mayer is being chased down by Caleb Petrie. Car number 98. Also being chased is Neil Sankowski, who had a bit of a melee between himself and Caleb, and then Simon Mayer came on through. Rocco Horvath leading up to the top 4. Duda Castro's leading the top 5, or leading 5th downwards, as Jim Brewster is attempting to claw his way all the way back towards the front. He's doing very well, and in a melee of himself, Jason Green, Antonio Ruiz, and Nick Sigley.
It's interesting, we have these 2 packs, about a 4.5-4 second gap between them. If the second pack works together, they'll have a chance to catch up. However, when you've got someone like Simon Mayer leading that front, oh, and another spinner. Oh, this is a rough day for spinning.
Yeah, and that is, unfortunately, the Formula B of Jim McGill after his great outing last week at the Mid-Ohio. It's just not worked out for him today. Unfortunately, he has gone down the pecking order then into 16th. Again, back with Dudu Castro as he marks his way through, and that's some back marker there. That was the car of, I think that was Simon Ball there, the multicolor car.
Yeah, that old the Benetton type livery, it looks like, on that one.
The very old school, yeah. I like it. It's very nice, but I just wish he would have had a better day with it. You know, it's unfortunate to see sometimes when you have a very nice livery, it has to go all the way.
Oh, hey, it is Benetton. I called it. I knew it.
It is. By the way, Jim McGill in the pits after his spin, so he's taking his pit stop now, which he can do. It is very on the ever so crispy cusp of the sort of the starter pin window, and as we can see here,
we have a pass for the lead. Looks like Simon has fallen to second, with Patrick coming up, making a beautiful run and trying to open up a gap here, doing a fine job with it too, going through turn 4. Now look at that gap opening up. We're over half a second now.
Yeah, and Simon Mayer, Caleb Petrie, half a second between the two of them, and that was a very nice move by Caleb on the inside of Andretti. Neil Sankowski is going to threaten him as well, and with that as well, with this sort of train, is it difficult once if you make the move and you fail the move? Do you sort of have to look behind you to make sure that the guy behind you doesn't make the overtake? Is that a usual thing with these cars?
Typically, so where they're working now, they've got 4 cars in their pack. So if you fail a move, you still have a chance for recovery, because yeah, the other cars are going to pass you, as long as we're talking first and second. If you're in the 4th spot trying to pass the 3rd spot, you need to make sure that thing sticks. But if you're in second going for first and it doesn't stick, you have a chance, because you can still catch that draft of the car that was in 4th where you are now, and you're able to get back up to where they are.
That'll be on Nick Sigley's mind down in 9th. He's actually at the back of the group, sitting very so comfortably, holding position, making sure that he has the balance of power. You call that a balance of power sitting at the back, would you? You know, sort of like you have the deck of cards and you can see what everybody else is doing.
It is nice to be able to watch how everyone else sets things up, and you're just sitting there in the catbird seat waiting for something to happen. Like I think Simon was just doing. Simon had a beautiful run out of 11. He could have made the pass into Andretti at turn 2, but I think he made the wise choice to sit back and just watch for a while to see how his new nemesis is going to try to push through this race. As he's opening up, now we're out to about 0.3 of a second. He's actually making a really nice bit of this first sector.
That is going to be Nick Sigley, by the way, up into 8th, and that is another spinner. It has not been a good day for the Las Vegas style of racing. Unfortunately, spinning does not work well in a circuit. You sort of have to go around the corners in sort of banked turns and at marked times, but back to the front and near to the front. By the way, this is the group from 5th to... Is this the group from 5th to 8th? Or no, correction, these are the leaders.
The leaders here, yeah. This is Caleb trying to hold off Simon, and here we are in the P5 going through that same bit. Is that Jim Brewer there? Yes. Sorry, Brewster.
Yeah, it is Jim Brewster. Hard to mistake his very green neon wheels with the red canopy around him, and he is going like clockwork right now. He's actually being chased by Antonio Ruiz, who practically just needs to hold where he is, and then he's won it, I think. Is it worth holding position here if you're in the lead of the championship by a long way, and all you need to do is just finish?
Just finish the race at this point and stay out of trouble. As we see, that's very difficult. Is this Forens Arabian? Is he going into the pits already?
It is indeed.
I wonder if he's short fueled again. He's been mistakenly doing that for several races. Like, oh, I still left my quali fuel in, and ends up pitting a little bit early for his run. But he does make a good job out of that fuel at the end.
He does indeed, as we've seen so many times before. He's in the pits now for 9.5 seconds, so I would imagine it's just fueling up for the end of the race and just doing an early pit stop to get out into some clean air. And he'll be ahead of David Davidson when he gets out of car number 9, 1/6 down in 22nd. Back to the melee that's ahead of him. This is the group of 1 to 4th, and they have a lapped car ahead, a back marker, and they'll have to clear him soon. It's actually going to be quite difficult because they're kind of following each other constantly now. There's not been any moves been made. I think everybody's sort of squaring each other up. In this case, Michael, would it be worth trying to sort of break the ice and see if anybody sort of...
I think you're going to want to make some test moves, but maybe not make the complete move. And if you've been paying attention for the past 10 minutes, you see Simon and Caleb have been switching back and forth a little bit. Maybe one of them makes a mistake, the other one takes advantage of it, but I think they're feeling each other out just a little here to figure out what they're going to do at the end of the race. They've decided, this group, back to Rocco Horvath, have gone, okay, we're the guys who are going to make the run for the podium here. One of us is getting locked out of it. Who's it going to be, and how am I going to make sure it's not me? So I think we're going to see a lot of test moves. See, just right there, we had a little peek going in from Caleb to see what Simon's mindset as he's going through there. And Simon's like, I'm just staying on line. You take it, you can take it.
And we're on board with Neil Sankowski as he looks ahead to Caleb Petrie and Simon Mayer. By the way, you're Antonio Ruiz in the pits, taking an early pit stop alongside Johan Potenga, who is taking a pit stop at this time as well. And he's going to get... Caleb's thing is that he's always hugging sort of that 0.2 of a second area and the 1/10 of a second area behind Simon Mayer. Is that really leaving them enough room? Is that kind of dangerous with these cars, or is that something he can sort of get away with just about?
I would say it's dangerous, except for the fact of Simon being in front. I think Caleb knows how, as he makes the push up the inside, going up the hill towards, they're going into 7, going to make the corkscrew here, and he makes the move. So, like I said, test it out, see what you can get done. That was a good run through 6 to run up the hill around 7 and into 8, into the braking zone for the corkscrew.
Good job by Caleb Petrie to make the move nice and cleanly. Simon did not move off the line. I think he slowed up just ever so slightly, just to let it through, not fight it too much. I think that's another point as well, is don't fight it too much. If it's going to happen, let it happen.
Exactly. Don't fight it. There's no point in fighting now. We'll fight at the end of the race. Right now, let's get our group to the front. Let's do what we can to get ahead of Dudu Castro, and if Forens Arabian, it's not unheard of, comes back from 19th to end up in the front. I remember the race back in, I think it was Scuba, where he had a really unfortunate spin and was back in 14th, 16th place, came back to win. Not unheard of. Forens has that ability for sure.
Yeah, and I remember looking at it very well, and my jaw dropped to the floor at that point, but it has been very, very, very well noted that Forens can absolutely make a car sing and dance to a tune if he needed it to. And I think that's what Simon Mayer kind of wants to have happen right now, as Caleb Petrie is holding the cards in close to his chest and coming around turn 5.
He may try to make this same move going up around 6. He's setting up nicely, trying to make this move. Does he get the scoop coming through there? Oh, and he looks slightly to the inside, but I think Caleb's going to cover that. And they're just going to play with each other. This is where the mind games start. See how Simon's just a little bit of a peek out there as they go into the braking zone. He's trying to play a little bit of a mind game with Caleb at this point. At least if I were Simon, that's exactly why I would have done what he did.
Yeah, but as well as which we saw that Caleb sort of covered off Simon in the sort of, Simon was like, oh, you use that move on me, I'll use the move on you. Does that really work ever? You sort of using the same move the guy made on you the previous lap.
Well, yeah, because they never think you're gonna do it. It's like there's no way he's got. Oh my God, he just did my move.
To be fair, I mean, you have seen that a few times, but these cars, so you sort of have to explicitly state your move before you make it, just because of the sort of the relatively slow speed that the 52 horsepower engine provides. Is that sort of given more time than in other cars, or do you sort of have to close the distance before you can make a move on the inside, let's say, in towards the corkscrew?
Well, I think it depends largely on the exit of 6. Let's say Caleb goes into 6 and misses the apex by 6 inches, but Simon is dead on it. That 6 inches makes a huge difference going up the hill. 1, he's got the draft. 2, he's got a little bit better angle as he comes up through there. See, right now, these two guys are dead perfect on their apexes. They're making 0 mistakes. I think they're trying to see if they can make their own little pack of 2 and let Niels and Rocco do their own thing. So now we've got this nice run up here, a little bit off on the apex, but Caleb tries to cover off as we're coming up to the corkscrew.
To mention Niels, he's actually still very much firmly glued to the exhaust pipe of Simon Mayer. He's actually closer to Mayer, and that Mayer is closer to Caleb at the moment. And just coming up to the halfway point, should let the viewers know that the most notable things happening in the mid-pack are currently that Elia Lodi has gotten back up into 9th position after his altercation with Florence Arabian, and Dudu Castro and Jim Brewster are now battling it out in 5th and 6th, then down into 17th. Antonio Ruiz had a little bit of a spin and lost control and has lost a few positions, so he will actually be out of sync when all the pit stops are said and done.
Oh, and we've got a spinner again. That is Marco
Trespidi, yeah. Marco Trespidi. And that is is that in the corkscrew? It is.
Yep, corkscrew. And a perfect place to bring out a little more sand, as we were talking about in the beginning.
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, if a little bit of sand goes a long way, why not just sprinkle the sand everywhere? Unfortunately, these are not rally cars. They would make great rally cars, but I mean, it would be fun. You wouldn't go very fast. It'd be fun, though.
Oh yeah, they don't go very fast on the pavement either, but they're still a blast to drive. I absolutely love these cars.
And while I've only done the soapbox in these cars, that's still barrels of fun. So I can at least attest to that these cars are fun. I've just never driven one in a proper way.
Well, I highly recommend the regular iRacing series to get used to the car. So, and we've got a spinner in front of the lead pack.
And that is going to be the car number 203, if memory serves. It's going to be Brian Bielansky, correction. It's going to be car 143, stuck on the sort of the opposite bank of the corkscrew. Not a good place to be when you lose the car, but he's gotten back and going. No harm, no foul. Now,
no harm, no foul. Back to the lead pack.
back to the lead pack. But the lead pack does actually serve us something interesting. It's the lapped cars, just because of the amount of drivers that have had spins, if it could change the game if somebody had a spin and sort of one person checks up and another doesn't, what happens? Do you just focus on the yellow flag and make sure that, and hope that everybody else around you kind of holds station, or will that be a time for when somebody will just sort of gun it?
The yellow flag, or do you mean the blue flag?
With the yellow flag, when a back marker has a spin for some.
So back marker has a spin, the last thing you do is look at them. You don't want to get a target fixation, so you want to look for the hole. Where are they going? So you want them in your periphery, but you want to target your trajectory and move away from the crash. Go where they were, not where they are going or are.
And I said, well, that's something I very historically have issues with. Target fixation. No, don't do it too
tough.
much anymore. Yeah, it is very tough. And I could safely say that it is very tough. Even though it is virtual racing, it can still harvest real world problems. And target fixation is definitely one of the big ones. And then we have Simon Mayer sort of falling backwards towards Niels Sankowski, as Niels is looking like he is trying to look on the inside and on the outside of Simon Mayer. This could be
Niels is looking quite racy at this point. I think he's setting up for a pass at Andretti. If he gets a good run out of here, he has a great opportunity to, as they go through the bend of turn 1 and get into Andretti, he has a decent chance. But Simon Mayer gets a beautiful run and looks like he may actually catch up to Caleb by the time they get down to turn 2.
He's just ever so slightly too far back, though. He needs to be about 3/10. He was about 4/10 coming out of the final corner and then starting his run. Though it is going to be better for him when he comes around to the corkscrew this time. But is it better to make the pass coming up towards Andretti or before the corkscrew?
It depends on where your strength is compared to your opponent. Right now, I'm looking at Caleb and thinking he's got an excellent first sector. His first sector has been strong. That's when he's typically been able to either hold station or even open up a little bit of a gap. As we see right here, there's a nice gap open up. We're almost 3.5, 4/10 between Caleb and Simon. So he's got a very strong first sector compared to Simon. Can Simon make that up? So I would probably say for Caleb, turn 2 is a really good spot. But coming back up the hill, Simon closes it down. Look at that, just 2/10.
And 2/10 is all he needs, but he needs to hold the 2/10 to get to the start-finish rate. Just before he does, though, I just want to hop back to Dudu Castro and Jim Brewster. These two have actually continued to sort of drift backwards in terms of overall track position, but they haven't stopped racing each other. Jim Brewster trying to pass Dudu Castro. He's been doing it for the last few laps. I've been keeping a good eye on it, and he's been trying to sort of make the definitive pass, is what I would say, sort of where, he has a position and he can hold it for more than just one lap. Is it hard to hold something like that in these cars? The sort of definitive sort of overtake?
It depends on you. Now, I remember back the race in Brazil. I was in practice with Jim, and he is really, really good. He's incredibly fast, but so is Dudu Castro. Dudu Castro is an amazingly talented driver as well, and I think these guys, if they work together, are going to be able to help each other. If they try to start swapping passes, they're going to slow each other down. So I think they're smart enough. I think Jim is smart enough. Dudu is smart enough to go, you know what? We're going to do our best to hold this. What is it? 2.5? No, it's up to about 4 seconds off the back of Jim Brewster to Jason Green right now. So these guys are going to work together to hold that and keep Jim's points where he wants them to be in that veteran class.
Jim Brewster with the mistake that Antonio Ruiz had, where he spun the car, has got a little bit more breathing room, but Tom Gradwell is not too far behind him, even though it is just over, I'd say, about 20-ish seconds. It still is one mistake away from a 0-0 moment for poor Jim Brewster, and he's still having to hold behind as he comes around. Coming back to the car 227, that's Thor Tulla leading a group of 3, and this is Tom Gradwell and Devantro Dantas. This is for the top 9, another group there. It's actually a group of 3. It's got 1 pro, 1 amateur, and 1 master class racer, all in one go, but they're all fighting each other. It's good to see.
Yeah, when they're out there, and we've heard people in the podium interviews say, I didn't care what the number of the car in front of me was. I didn't care if they were a master. I said veteran before I meant master. I didn't care if they were a master or whatever. I just wanted to race. So these guys are focused on racing. This is the last race of the season, and if none of them are racing for anything in particular, either their position is locked or they're so far down that they're not going to get a top 3, they're just here to have fun and race. So that could be what we're seeing here is, hey guys, let's go hammer and tongs with this and put on a good show.
It seems they are putting on a good show and having good fun while doing so. This will be good for the points. Oh, that's a wide car coming into the Andretti.
Yeah, like we said, a good show. He was trying to make that late break. Didn't quite work out for him. And looks like Dantas got around him.
Yep. Car number 32, Evandro Dantas got around Tom Gradwell. Tom Gradwell broke too late. And that's actually a thing as well, is that as we jump back to the head of this pack, and that is going to be Neil Sankowski losing another position around the corkscrew. Is break points going to be a tight thing for these cars? Is finding the limit and then trying to get past it, is that dangerous for these cars?
It is, because they have such a small contact patch with these really skinny tires. It's important for, looks like Simon Mayer, maybe, yeah, he's going into the pits.
Simon Mayer on lap 16 with 12 and 50 to go, 12 minutes 50 seconds to go, is in the pits. He is the first of the group lead to pit, so he's expecting to try and come out in some sort of clean air, as is due to Cancer coming into the pits. Now down to 3. Do these guys respond and come into the pits next lap, or they just stick to their prescribed plans, as it will?
The best bet right now is to put in a burner. It's hammer time, as Mercedes would tell Lewis Hamilton. It's hammer time, and get in there, make that lap, because you want you're going to have a hard time making it up in the pits. If you can, great, but don't count on making it up in the pits. As we see Simon Mayer already back down, getting around the pseudo turn 2 on the pit exit. Making his line up to 3 with absolutely clean air all around him. He's going to be able to make his own time without anybody in the way. Remember, he was kind of being held up a little bit. Was some of that due to being in the draft? I think we're going to see as this pit rotation happens here.
And with the pit rotation comes just trying to gun it and trying to get ahead of the guy ahead of you. Now, it is going to be interesting to see, because the two of Rocco Horvath and Caleb Patry are fighting each other.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually looking at another screen right now. It's great to see Simon, but there's an interesting fight going up front. Rocco Horvath has made the pass for the lead, with Caleb Patry going behind him. That was on the entry to the corkscrew, and he makes a fakie. Oh, what a fakie move. Nicely done. Rocco's like, nope, I'm going to lead this lap.
Rocco Horvath wants to put in that he led a lap on this lap in particular. He'll be P1 coming across the line. I'll be happy about that. But he also sort of led Caleb Patry into the pits, and then Caleb saw it way too late and sort of kept going with it. Now, I'm not sure if faking the pit entry is going to. It's not like NASCAR where the leader is going to dictate if the field pits. It's more so trying to sort of psych someone into coming to the pits. Oh, and Caleb's stuck in the pits for way too long.
Ooh, that's tough for Caleb. He had about almost 11 second stationary, a 33.5 second. Nope, sorry, I'm looking at Simon on that one. He had a 12, almost 13 second for Caleb as he was stationary, 36.7 seconds in the pit lane. Oh, that's going to be tough. That's why Rocco Horvath stayed out.
That's going to be tough to reconcile. He needs good lap after good lap now. He's almost 3 seconds behind Simon Mayer in particular. Now, Simon Mayer himself was actually 1 and a bit seconds behind Neil Sankowski, which is not close enough for slipstream. So Niels needs Rocco Horvath to be behind Simon Mayer. Simon Mayer needs Rocco Horvath to be in the middle, so they can get the slipstream and get this game back up and running between the car number 5 and the car number 39. If you see the car in the distance, I know target fixation is target fixation is not just a thing in accidents. It's a target fixation when you're chasing another car. If you're Simon Mayer, do you just big old slide from Horvath?
That's gonna affect his pit time too. He had the right idea. I think he was doing it right, but just a little bit too much heat coming into that final left turn to get into the pit lane. Let's see how this works out for him though.
What I was going to ask as well was, if you're Mayer and you're chasing down a car that's just outside the slipstream range, can target fixation become a problem?
Target fixation at that point is kind of what you want, because you need to be absolutely laser focused with these super narrow cars. The slipstream that comes off of these, I mean, these are like a little tube that has a beautifully tapered end on it. There's not a whole lot there, but Simon Mayer has closed this down on Niels. He's only about 7/10 off of him at this point. He was in a slipstream. He was at about 1.2 seconds, which is, you will say, sure, that's right on the edge of where you can get one, but it looks like he made the most of it now that he's coming up on Niels Sankowski.
Now, we do have an issue as well. Rocco Horvath he's actually ahead of Sankowski, so that fake, whatever it did, has put Rocco Horvath in a great position. Niels Sankowski needs to just ever so slightly get further closer. He is just on the edge of the slipstream range.
Yeah,
he
we're
also
at
has Simon Mayer.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds. This is the spot he needs to be right there, but Sankowski needs to make sure he covers off Mayer. Mayer has the speed. Simon's very, very fast, and I think he can make hay while the sun shines as they come down the corkscrew here. Probably setting up for either entry to 11, probably not 11, but more likely the pass at Andretti.
Another thing is as well, it's actually surprising. I would have guessed actually that even with the slide coming into the bin entry, that Rocco Horvath had such a great inroad or in-lap and such a great outlap as well, because he's ahead.
Yeah, his best lap was a 1:41.2, which is flying. I mean, that is absolutely burning some fuel to get through that quick. That was a really and just as I said, did I call it? Finally, the commentator's curse works in a positive direction.
I would hold on to your hats there for just a wee second, because it can work against us, but we can safely say now that we didn't curse, man. We blessed him, man.
we blessed him. It was the commentator's blessing. It was funny. You could see that pass being built all the way back from the corkscrew when they came through corkscrew. It looks like Niels isn't too happy about this, though. He's not going to just settle back and take third. He's going to try to make this pass back. Look at this run. He's got a little bit of speed. Now, it may be only a quarter mile per hour difference, but coming through here, coming through 6, who's going to get the best run up the hill? Oh, this is a nice little tight line, but look at Meyer. Simon's kind of holding onto that left side, like, nope, I don't want you to pass. Let's work together, or no, you just stay back. I'm taking second. Hard to say what oh, we got a spin. Horvath is spun.
And just like that, I think we can safely say that was us. That was our commentator's curse. Rocco Horvath was very nice entry, and then the car bottomed out on the turn 2 of the corkscrew.
Oof.
It was very surprising.
That is surprising. It's so much downhill. The gravity just drops you in, and quite often you're using a gear higher than you think you should when you're going through corkscrew, just because the car is falling and it's gentle compression as you come down through the corkscrew up until that right at that point where he spun. So I'm surprised he actually bottomed out there. That doesn't seem usual for that point.
Yeah, I can safely say. I just looked at the replay of it, and it was where the brake of the car is at its slowest point. The suspension front end of it struck the bottom, and we can just see here, getting another look at it. That's what happened. He comes in and bang, off he goes.
He might have caught a little bit of the dirt on the inside of that curbing. If we, as we watch him come through again, watch that right side tire, the rear one. Nope, didn't hit it at all. That was just, I think you called it. I think it was the bottoming out as he came around there.
That's what I suspected. Actually, I was doing the same level of thinking as you were, where I thought he had touched the inside, but it was just the amount of dirt and sand that's been kicked up onto as we can just see. That is the battle for the lead now, because Rocco Horvath is now only just under 5 seconds behind. Niels Sankowski is now on his way to potentially win his first race in the Formula V Weekend Wars. But Simon Mayer, I think he's going to do a lot more than just idly defend.
Simon's there are only 4 minutes left here, and with these lap times and how close Niels Sankowski is, it's going to be an interesting battle to the finish. Now, we've got a lap car up front. If Simon and Niels can catch up to him, Is it going to work in his favor? Is he going to be able to use it as a toe, or is it going to get in the way when he's trying to get around a corner? It's all about timing, and Niels really needs to back this up and think about timing and playing. Simon needs to think about that. Meanwhile, Niels has got to keep pushing him to try to get him to hit the location of that other car a little bit too early.
And if he shows his cards too early, does that sort of seal the deal then, or can he sort of fake a move and then, with that knowledge, come back and make one last shot of it? You know, just sort of play his cards early, but play it in such a way where it's like, oh, I know
we're in a heads-up showdown. Everybody's showing their cards at this point. Everybody's all in. There's no extra card to play. It depends on what happens on the river and the flop at this point, or not the flop, the river at this point. Sorry, switching to poker for a second there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has been for a few unfortunate people. By the way, this is going to be a side-by-side battle that is between Brewster and the car number 73 of Dudu Castro, and that is actually going to be for I think that is for 6th position, because Florence Arabian, or correction, for 7th, as you so rightfully called it, Florence Arabian, what an absolute effort by him. He's now back into 5th.
Yeah, I am not surprised. Anyone who has watched this series is not surprised. Forens has this innate talent, this alien blood in him that allows him to recover from a mistake probably better than anyone I've seen in this series.
And you can see the fruits of his labors. Only 9 seconds behind the race leaders. Now, he won't be able to secure a race win this time by, but from what had happened to him with an accident into Andretti, I'd say he'd be more than happy to clinch back 5th and work with that, and then have a good result for next season, as 2nd in the championship is always a good result for him. And come back to this battle between Brewster and Castro. That is the neon wheels of Castro, or correction, the neon wheels of Brewster. Hard to mistake those. For Brewster right now, and I said before, hold position as he is. Is it worth it's the final lap of the final season, or not the final season, but of this season. Is it worth it let's be a bit cheeky, as we see the leaders going at it?
The only time that makes sense is if Dudu Castro makes a mistake. And Oh, Simon has gone around. I said Dudu, not Simon. I said Dudu Castro. Unfortunately, Simon has spun. That puts Rocco Horvath into 2nd position with Simon. Simon back in a very familiar position with Caleb right on his tail. Caleb goes around him too.
I can tell you now, unfortunately, that was not Neil Sankowski's fault. He did hit him, but Simon had a absolutely very weird, if we can get a replay of it, it was a very weird incident where Simon, on the midpoint of the apex of the first one, lost control of the car, and the car actually stepped out on him. You can just see here, there's 2 distinct movements. He steps out, and then Niels hits him. Yeah, look.
Yeah, so he was making the pass. I think he may have been trying to push a little bit hard on that. He was a little bit offline here, and now he's trying to bring the car back over across the track, cutting off the nose of Niels, holding it in. But his angle of attack right here, he had to just climb all over his brakes, and there wasn't much he could do. Now, I assume there's a lot of very interesting German phrasing going back and forth between those two. I gotta say, from the homeland, it was nice to see 2 German, or at least Germanic drivers. I believe they're both in Germany.
They are indeed, and actually, I think this is going to be the white flag lap. It just got thrown, but they are still going around. It is going to be the final lap for these guys, and that is going to be it as they come up to the final lap of the race, with Niels Sankowski, who on the final lap has actually secured the race win. Rocco Horvath, even after his spin, is the 2nd place. I say he'd be very happy with that. And the big ticket item is who will be third? Will it be Petri or Simon Mayer? But we'll see that in just a moment as we welcome Neil Sankowski to winner lane. I think that's what they call NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan, so please forgive me.
Winner circle.
The winner circle. There we go. As he crosses the line to take his first pole and not first pole, but his first win in the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Rocco Horvath following just very close behind, and unfortunately Simon Mayer is locked out of the podium, but he joins Nick. Oh, and he does not join Nick Sigley. It is Nick Sigley. Sorry, just a bit of a issue with the timing scoring sheets. Nick Sigley joins him for the top 5, and the rest come across the line. That was one great run by these guys, but unfortunate for Simon Mayer, Michael.
Unfortunate for Simon. It was an attempt that he needed to make. He needed to block. I couldn't tell if he was repassing or if he was trying to hold off a pass. Oh, as we watch an interesting finish here.
That is going to be the Formula B out of fuel.
Ooh, needed a little more honey in that one. That's what the Formula B is run on, right? They put honey instead of gasoline.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The only alternative fuel allowed in this is for Formula Bs and the little honeycomb.
Well, I mean, I think everybody would like that. And by the way, Coppage, on that final lap, just having an accident of his own. He's actually also run out of fuel. So he is not able to cross the line at all. He'll be finishing the race. I think he'd be 22nd when he finishes the race. But that is going to take us for a quick break. We'll be back with the post-race interviews and analysis, so stick around and keep your channels stuck onto GSRC. Don't go away.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com. From your home PC. This is iRacing.
Welcome back to Laguna Seca here in California, where we have just seen the final round of the Formula V Weekend Warriors for this season. But it has ended with Neil Sankowski taking the race win away from Rocco Horvath, Caleb Petrie and Simon Mayer in that order for second, third and fourth. But Rocco Horvath, even though he had a mistake and he could have had that win, it was ever so close, but he is going to be, I'd say he's going to be happy with second and look forward to next season. Caleb Petrie in third, Simon Mayer in fourth as mentioned, Nick Sigley in fifth, with Florence Arabian even after his big accident coming into Andretti side by side. He still managed to secure a sixth position out of all of that. Jim Brewster in seventh with Antonio Ruiz in eighth. Ninth is going to be Jason Green and Evaldo Dantas in 10th. And then down from there is going to be 11th. It's going to be Elia Lodi, who was the second partner in crime for the accident between himself and Florence Arabian. Tom Gradwell is going to be in 12th. Thor Tulla in 13th with 14th. Johan Batenga 15th. Jim McGill. 16th is going to be Gary Wilrod. In 17th, Jeremy Lewis. And then 18th is going to be Marcus King, with 19th going to Bruno Conti. And then finally 20th is going to be David Davidson. I think Michael has the rest of the runners in this race.
21st, we have Michael Vucenic. I hope I said that right. Please send me a text and tell me the right way if that wasn't. El Leroy Coppage in 22nd, followed by Kenneth Batley, Jesus Rodriguez, Dudu Castro falling back to 25th, with Simon Ball, Marco Trespidi, Brian Bilansky, Daniel Capps, Flavio Andalo, followed by Carl Burke, Paolo Gori, Andrew Benna, and then I believe we have our three non-starters, Chris Montgomery, Scott Brellier, and Jeff Cantor.
I can confirm Jeff Cantor did not start, as did Scott Braley did not start. Chris Montgomery was involved in the lap 1 incident that cost also a few others their wheels, and in one case cost a 3-wheeler to go around of Kenneth Batley. But we do have the race winner coming in to talk to us of Niels Sankowski as he comes to join us in the booth. Niels, pleasure talking to you, my boy, and it's far from the days of the Fanatec GT Challenge. You've actually won a race. Congratulations. How do you feel?
Yeah, things are quite good, obviously, because I didn't win since week 2 of this one, so it was kind of a long... I didn't even get a podium since week 2, so it's basically these 2 wins are my only podiums. Didn't always go to plan, so even happier to finish the season off with a win.
And beyond that as well, it does. Are you be coming back for next season? Try and see if you can mix it up with the top fellows and see if you can challenge for the leadership or the championship.
I'll probably not be back for next season at this point. No, sorry to say, but
you're breaking my heart. But how was it out there? How was it driving? Because it was you were in a group of 4, and then it became a group of 3 and a group of 2 because people were sort of pitting in the staggered formation. You then had the odd thing where both Simon Mayer, you had an accident with Simon Mayer, but Rocco Horvath had to spin in front of the 2 of you guys, and then that sort of opened the floodgates. The issue with Simon Mayer, was that just because he just took that shallow line, just couldn't correct it in time?
Looking at the replay, Simon actually went into neutral there, so he couldn't get the downshift from 4th to 3rd, and well, then couldn't get on throttle, slowed down even more on the apex, and I just couldn't react fast enough. So unfortunately, I kind of spun him off there. But yeah, Rocco did the thing that I wanted to do, kind of, to get track position before pitting in, which worked out well for him because he was basically clear of me and Simon after the stop. But yeah, he did the mistake then as well, because I guess he was pushing to stay away from me and Simon.
Before we let you go for the final time this season, you have any thanks or any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Of course, to my chat, who was always there to support me on stream for the season. And also, I don't know if you noticed, I was sporting a little different waifu on the car every week.
I did notice. I didn't want to ask though, because I would have. I didn't want to sound rude. I was like, you have a different anime character on your car.
Yeah, it started as a joke because I was thinking about like putting anime characters on our team skins, and the series was just perfect for it because I was the only guy driving it. So as a joke, I kind of switched anime characters on the car every week, and yeah, just grateful that I got one of my waifus into victory lane now.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure as always talking to you, Niels. Hopefully we'll, if not through the Formula V Weekend Warriors, we'll see you at some other stage, at least for one of the other series. Pleasure talking to you, Niels, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Niels Sankowski. And I have just ejected our poor co-commentator for Michael Johnson. That was my bad. But we do have Rocco Horvath talking to Michael Johnson. We're talking to him through Michael Johnson.
Well, Rocco, first off, what was your thought? Well, first off, congratulations on a beautiful second place after that spin recovery. But what was your thought in that little fakie when you were going around and you got everybody else to pit and you stayed out there?
Yeah, no, I do that all the time. I don't know why. It really doesn't matter much.
Well, you had a beautiful lap after that, so it seemed like you were pulling. And I think I said in the commentary, this is the typical thing that Mercedes will do with somebody like Lewis and say, okay, it's hammer time, get out there and make a bigger gap.
Yeah, exactly. Once they pit, I knew that I had one, maybe 2 laps of fuel left, and I needed to make those laps count. So yeah, I just went out there and I pushed, and I was actually planning on doing one more lap until I kind of went off at the second to last turn. And since I was already kind of towards the pit lane, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop this lap, and I had a great pit stop, and was able to save fuel for the first stint. So I only had to put in 3 liters, which I think helped. And then, yeah, came out almost about a second and a half or so ahead of Nils. So, yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, 9.3 second pit stop. Although Niels had 0.3 faster, he apparently put in just a little bit less fuel. Now, when you were coming into the pit, you were saying you had a little bit of an off earlier as you were coming in? Were your tires still dirty? Because you got a little bit squiggly coming into that final left hand as you're coming up to the cones there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tires were good, but I shifted down into first because I did a couple practice runs going through there in practice, and I figured that if I shifted, that turn is so tight that if you shift into first, it'll slow the rear wheels down a lot and kind of get the back to kick out just a little bit to help you turn. So that's actually why I did it, and it went a little bit more than I thought it was going to, but I was able to hang on to it, so it was all right.
Yeah, I would say it bought you a 10th because your overall pit time, you were 0.3 slower in the box, but only 0.2 on the total pit. So that was well done. Now, there was the spin. And that were you tasting? We didn't say a word. There was no commentator's curse on you for that one. I promise. I had it happen to me this past week, so no commentator's curse. But what was happening there? What went on with that spin?
I was paying attention to the relative too much. I saw Simon originally was Nils behind me. I think it was at like 1.3, 1.5 or something like that. And then I saw Simon overtake Nils, and I knew he was going to be charging for me. And Simon is really, really quick. So I was just pushing. It was really hard. And I ended up just going a little too deep on the brakes, and then that kind of set me up like too far to the inside on that right hander of the corkscrew. And the closer you get to the apex, the more it drops off, and the rear wheels just got light. I just gave it too much power, and it just came around. Luckily, it came around in a decent way where I was able to just make sure it was clear, and I was able to keep going, so I didn't lose a whole lot of time. But yeah, I don't think that I had the win in the bag because Simon was pretty close, and if he would have got within draft, he definitely would have caught me. But yeah, it was close. It was really close. Pretty heartbreaking.
So, final race of the season, P2 on the podium, beautiful finish. Anybody you want to give thanks to for this second place finish?
Just the Weekend Warrior Series for putting on a great series. Love competing in it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make too many races next season. My wife is actually due to give birth to our first child in about 3 weeks. So also thank you to her for letting me race on a Saturday afternoon, and thank you guys for broadcasting, and yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, congratulations again then for the kid coming in 3 weeks. That was Rocco Horvath. I think now we've got Robert, who has cornered Caleb Patry for our third place finisher.
I wouldn't say cornered, but here he is. Caleb, absolutely great racing out there, and congratulations, by the way, on a good result for yourself. Just ever so slightly knocking out Simon Mayer from the podium, but it was looking a bit hairy there for certain parts of it.
Yeah, for sure. The start of that race went pretty well. First couple of laps, I was able to advance myself to the lead group, and then from there on out, it was kind of just run consistent laps and don't fall behind, and that's exactly what I did. Pit stop didn't go so well. I miscalculated the fuel and put a little bit too much in, so that cost me some time. And then from there on out, I knew I had to give it 110% if I wanted to catch back up. And unfortunately, I made a few mistakes and fell farther behind. But despite all that, I'm happy with a third place finish.
with that third place finish as well, it does tie it all in together for you. And you do actually have, I think, and just Michael Johnson's just giving me the word, you do actually have the fastest lap of the race. So you definitely were pushing all of the correct buttons out there. But as you said yourself, there was a few mistakes that you had. When you come back next season, or if you come back next season, what's the kind of thing that you're going to be focusing on to improve?
I think definitely just driving the thing consistently. I think that's pretty much it. As long as I can just keep driving consistent laps and stay with a pack, I think I should be in good order next season.
And hope second next season. Just for the final question, what would you like to see next season in terms of tracks? Would you like to see the same level likeness of tracks, or would you like the smaller tracks like Seca, for instance?
I don't really have a preference. I definitely enjoy Laguna Seca a lot, and the other race I ran this season was at Summit Point. That's also one of my favorite tracks. So I think it's good to get a variety of tracks out there.
Perfect talking to you as always, Caleb. Do you have any shout outs or anything thanks to give for your third place today?
Well, certainly thanks to Steve Ray for putting all this on, and then you guys for putting on this broadcast, as well as fellow racers for giving me a good fight.
Perfect. It's always talking to you, Caleb. Congratulations on your P3, and hope to see you back again at some point. And finally, we do have Antonio Ruiz, and Michael Johnson has caught up with him.
And Antonio, nice race, well done, pushing all the way to the finish. I think you're in P2 for the Masters. Well done. And what do you have to say about how this race developed for you from the start to the finish?
Good night, guys. Good night, everyone. Well, it was a little bit kind of a disappointing. I'm a little bit out of shape. I didn't race for a couple of races, so I lose a little bit of the rhythm. But anyway, it is what it is, and I was enjoying. That's what is most important, I think. Having fun, yeah.
Yeah, definitely fun. So at the end of the race, you were under 2 seconds off of Jim Brewster's tail. Now, Jim was the next in class. How many more laps do you think you needed to catch up to him?
I didn't think about that. I didn't even know that it was my direct rival there.
Well, surprise, you were only less than 2 seconds off of Jim Brewster in front of you. Well done. Nice, clean run through the whole race. Is there anyone in particular you'd like to put thanks out to for doing so well in this race?
Yeah, sure. I always want to thank you to the Jim McGill and the 42 Stitches for sponsoring the broadcast, and Steve Ray and all his staff that help him organizing everything. And for you guys, broadcasting is amazing. I always watch. It's really nice. I always appreciate your broadcast is so nice. And and basically all the drivers, and all people watching, sure.
I totally get it. Having been in the seat with you guys racing and being in this seat broadcasting for you, I can say honestly that both places are equally entertaining. A fantastic group of drivers, and love it that you appreciate our broadcast.
Yeah, I appreciate a lot.
So congratulations on a second place. I will toss it back to Robert.
Tony Ruiz is one of my personal favorites. And I am completely 100% biased, but I'd like to give my own thanks to Michael Johnson and to Zach and to Dougie, who provided the commentary, directing, and the cameras for today. That does conclude the race for us. Before we let you go, we would like to thank 42 Stitches at 42stitches.com. Check them out at 42stitches.com and let them put together a package especially for you. The thanks go to the company to provide the hardware and software for the broadcast listed here on your screen, and additional thanks go out to June Lalonde, who provides the wonderful music that you hear in all of our broadcasts. See the screen for how to get a hold of her great work at junelalonde.com. bandcamp.com. Once again, shout out to Michael, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at the Global SimRacing Channel.com or through the social media listed on your screens. And also check out the merchandise at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Go on, pick up a shirt, pick up something. And we keep links of all of those things down in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss out a moment at GSRC. Next week, we won't have a race because it's the end of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. I'm gonna miss it, but we'll hopefully be back in another series, and hopefully the Weekend Warriors will be back up again and running soon, potentially after Christmas. But we do have upcoming races for the rest of the evening and for the rest of the weekend, so mark those down on your calendar so you don't miss a moment of GSRC. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.